Your copy is illegal and unethical. And if you're writing copy in 2025, you're probably making mistakes that are putting your business, most importantly, if you're a working copywriter, your client's business at risk of an FTC investigation. But I'll show you how to fix it right now. Okay, the majority of copywriters and coaching programs are taught by internet marketers whose marketing violates FTC, straight up violates FTC regulations and compliance in other countries and regions too, such as the GDPR in Europe. But just think about it. If you're learning to write copy, let's go back to the old guys, like David Ogilvy, Gene Schwartz, Claude Hopkins. Those guys, they would write copy in the 60s. Claude Hopkins even more than 100 years ago. That was turn of the century. But the thing is that if the FTC has changed so much since then that obviously I'm not telling you not to learn from these guys. I myself have learned from all of them. But you're not thought about compliance about them, and I might even say that some of the copy they write is non-compliant. Right? And you don't have to go that far, because if you're learning from internet marketers, let's say that they wrote something in 2022. Well, in 2022, from 2022, at the time of recording this in February 2025, there's so many regulations that have been passed by the FTC, so many new cases the FTC has brought action upon. It's not even funny. So if most of the marketing online, they violate FTC regulations, and you might be thinking, well, why aren't they caught? Why aren't they fined or investigated? Well, I myself had a pickle with the FTC. I'll tell you about it later on. But one of the advice that I got is that one of the things that someone pointed me out to is that if you see someone way bigger than you that is making big, bold claims that are non-compliant with the FTC or is doing anything else non-compliant, it doesn't mean they're doing it right. It just means they haven't been caught yet, And so I wanted to show you how you can learn so that you're not caught on this, not by doing it, just by avoiding what the FTC actually looks for. So, we as copywriters, if you're a copywriter yourself or have some copy training, you might be familiar with the term swipe, because we copy everything we see online. And the thing is that most of it, nearly all of it actually, is non-compliant, illegal, and unethical. And the thing is that you don't know it until the FTC sends you like a letter or a FedEx package, telling you that your business will be instantly terminated and there's a fine that you have to pay. So now here's the other important part. On top of this, AI, artificial intelligence, has been trained on all this non-compliant marketing. So even its output is illegal and unethical. I remember, when those memes that would happen early on when AI was starting to write copy, so to speak, for the public, and they would say some buzzwords like unleash your potential or something like that. Now imagine if they are copying the buzzwords, that great marketers are not writing buzzwords, but if they're copying these buzzwords, how much illegal output do you think AI is copying from online internet marketers and all that stuff? I would say that at least 90%, this is just off the top of my head, but at least 90% of the copy that AI writes you is non-compliant with the FTC. Not only that, but the FTC launched a press release in mid-January stating that it will go hard on AI regulation. Any business that had AI bot, not any business, but they will specifically look for businesses that have AI bots in their communication with clients and everything. They will look for any AI communication used in marketing, AI generated communication, images, and so on. And that is why, I believe that the most important skill you can learn as a copywriter or marketer, it's not artificial intelligence, it's compliance. There are great skills to learn as a marketer. You can learn how to manage an email list. You can learn web design. You can learn how to design sales pages, lots of skills. But right now, I think the best skill you can learn is actually compliance. Because think about it, if you are a client and you don't know much marketing and you say, hey, I want someone, I heard that, my emails, yeah, I heard that email lists make a lot of money, but I don't know how to write emails. Let's say you hire someone to write you emails. And imagine that, a few months later, you receive an FTC package saying that your business is getting shut down and you have a fine to pay because of a communication that you wrote. And this communication was written by that is not something that you would expect. If you are a business owner, hire someone, you would expect to just make some additional money as a copywriter, build some rapport and trust with for your brand and everything. You wouldn't expect an FTC lawsuit, a government backed lawsuit, which basically cannot defend yourself against, you know. So this is something that I would say is the most important skill that you can learn as a working copywriter, because it's something that your clients would kind of expect, but they're not even aware that they expect it. They just give it as oh, it's a given when I hire someone. Now, I wanted to show you some specific sources you can learn for yourself. These sources are completely free or very, very low cost. And so the first one is the FTC press releases. The interesting thing about the FTC is that when they bring action to your cases, man, they will go hard on investigating the case. And once they finished the investigation and the case has been settled, or even if it's still in process, they will launch a press release, which means that they will grab everything they've investigated about yourself, how the case progressed, what was the action brought upon, if there are any restrictions, permanent restrictions, by the way, for that business in general, and they will post it on their website and their channels, making it as visible as possible. Now, obviously, this is very hard for the business owner, but for the people looking to learn, you can go into the FTC and search for the things that the FTC looked for, why they brought action on the case and everything. They're very, very detailed. You could even find, in some cases, if not all of them, you can find some documentation about the cases where the exact claims that they used that got them into trouble. For example, this one with BetterHelp, I search, you can go to the website of the press release and you can find exactly like the claims that BetterHelp made, the data privacy violations they made that landed them in such a pickle. That imagine that they have to pay $8 million for a thing that, for not complying with consumer protection regulations. So just look at these cases. There are so many cases, so you could look for your own niche or industry, and they will go ahead and search all the information, and you will have a great idea. It's going to be a little vague because you will understand what they did. You will know kind of like how to do it differently, but you will know like how to avoid it at least. So that's very helpful. The second source is Anik Singh's book, Don't Say That. Now, a few things. I am not affiliated with Anik in any way. I am just a happy reader, and this is not my property. These images are not my property. They are full property of Anik's brand. Don't Say That. I actually took them from his website for his book. So I am not affiliated with him in any way, but Anik is great. He himself went through an FTC process, an investigation, and he settled. I think it was for $2.5 million. And so he partnered up with his lawyer to write this book, and it's a great book. It's a little lengthy, but I wouldn't say that's a bad thing. It's just a lot of stuff that he has to cover for the FTC. It's a great book. I highly recommend you check it out. And the third source is Stripe documentation. Now, here's the thing. Before we get into the documentation, I want to tell you a little bit about the pickle I had with Stripe. So in my website, I'm a working copywriter myself, and in my website, I had a case study from a client that was very happy with my service. I make this client a specific amount of money that he wasn't used to make it, so to speak. So he made a little bit more money than he would make in the previous months and even years. And what happened is that I stated that case study, obviously, with his permission on my website. But the thing is that I didn't use the right disclaimers to back up a few claims that I had made. I did not say that these results were typical to the average customer. And a few things that I would say on this case study would kind of make it seem like if you hired me, you would make that specific amount or more. So I was, as marketers, we get very excited sometimes, especially if we get good results. So, you could give yourself an idea of what would happen. It was just a regular case study like the ones you see online, which is very problematic if you're running a results-oriented case study yourself. But that landed me with a pickle, and all of a sudden I get an email from Stripe saying that my account is going to be shut down. And they don't say anything, but they refer to me to their documentation. And so that was in September 2024, September last year. And late September, early October. I can't really remember. But the thing is that since then, I've been researching pretty much every day about FTC compliance. How to how to comply with regulations, not just with the FTC, but with the Better Business Bureau, with the GDPR and other stuff. And Stripe, the thing with Stripe is that they are very detailed in their documentation because they don't want you going through this process, not because they're good people. I don't know if they are. I don't think so. But not because they're good people, but because if they have to land a case, if there's a case that, let's say that I am investigated and I use Stripe as my main payment processor, they will actually have to assign personnel to your case so that they can provide all the documentation, all the chargebacks, the refunds, the customer support requests, everything, because the FTC pretty much asks for everything, including every ad you've ever run, by the way. So they don't want to do that. So they will instantly shut down your business if they see any violation, or give you a notice, a month-long notice. And they have such a lengthy documentation process that I would say they have more information about FTC compliance than the FTC itself. I think so. I'm not sure, but they have so much stuff. And I just grabbed this random article. This article is also property of Stripe. And so, yeah, it's worth learning from them. Now you can do all those things yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. I did those myself. I did literally all the three that I just mentioned to you. I did it myself. Or if you want to save time, then you're invited to the Copy Compliance Clinic that I'll be hosting on February 15th. And if you're watching this right now, or if you're watching this after February 15th, don't worry, there's a recording. And now the first thing before we get into what we'll cover in the Copy Compliance Clinic is that this is not a replacement for legal advice. I am not a lawyer. I am not legally trained. And if you're ever into problem with a government-backed agency on compliance issues, such as the FTC or any agency that is regulating, please hire an attorney. Don't lean on this or any online resource. Hire someone that is a compliant attorney and get help from them. But that out of the way, if you understand that this is not legal advice, we can proceed. And so the Copy Compliance Clinic is basically everything I have learned, which is kind of very simple if you think about it. Once you understand these things, you'll understand what specifically the FTC looks for when opening an investigation. What are the claims they're looking for, the specific claims. There are things that the FTC looks for word that you should definitely avoid. That have landed people such as Anik, which he mentions in his book, on a over $2 million settlement with the FTC. Completely, in a 2-year investigation where he had to assign personnel of his business, valuable employees. So these are things that we're going to cover in the Copy Compliance Clinic so that we can minimize the risk of you or your client. And I say minimize because there's no such thing as being 100% risk-free of the FTC. Technically, the FTC can start an investigation with anyone in the world that sells to an American consumer. So we are going to reduce the risk by understanding what the FTC looks for, the specific claims. The three main violations that you can do in your marketing. There are three. It's not really that hard to understand. There are three pillars, so to speak, that if you don't violate any of them, you are probably very well protected against an FTC investigation. And again, not 100%, but you would be, they would probably not start an investigation with you. We'll go over privacy policy, terms of service, legal pages. Now, I gotta tell you, I won't give you a specific, swipe file of privacy policy and terms of service and legal pages, because as you will learn in this workshop, that is something that will actually put your business at risk, because there's no such thing as a swipe file. These pages must be so customized to your business that they're cannot be like a swipe file itself. But I will give you exactly the things that should be featured in those pages so that you are protected. You could even write these yourself, or the best thing to do would be to hire a lawyer for cheap and have them write this for you by giving them a brief explanation of your business. But these things are so good. Not only will they protect you against the FTC, they'll protect you against predatory law firms that kind of that are opening lawsuits. Like if you don't have a specific policy, they will open some investigation to you and all that stuff. So we will go deep into the Copy Compliance Clinic. We'll also go into how to write copy without being paralyzed. Because what happened to me in October, November is that I had so many claims. I'm like, what is this? If I write this, I'll get a FedEx package for my clients. I will help you avoid that writer's block that gives you when you understand the copy compliance clinic. I also give you a checklist that you can run by. When you understand the things in the copy compliance clinic, I will give you a checklist that you can run any piece of copy, any ad, any email you write, and any marketing you write, and you will instantly have like a strong understanding of what to do, what to remove, and everything. And so it's going to be fast. It's going to help you so much, because I spent 2 months almost unable to write copy because I was too afraid. But I've learned so much, and I will link any resources so that you can actually become a compliance savvy marketer. And so join us for the copy compliance clinic. I'll shoot you the link somewhere in the video. If you're watching this on YouTube, you should see it in the description of this video. And so yeah, it's very informative. I'm sure it's gonna give you the 80-20 of what you need for compliance. It's a lot of what I learned. And yeah, go over to the page and see all the details and register, and I'll see you there.